Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 7th of May, now it's almost 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And if I may, I will start with yet another terror attack of Zelensky's regime, Zelensky's terrorist and Nazi regime. Yesterday, Ukrainian terrorists did try to assassinate Russian writer and politician Zakhar Prilepin. His car was blown up, and during this terror strike, assistant of Zakhar Prilepin was killed. Prilepin himself was wounded, and medics did conduct some operations. And according to latest information that Russian media outlets are reporting, operations were successful, and even though condition of Prilepin is very serious, his life is not in danger. So this is information from this morning. So Prilepin survived this terror attack, but when it comes to this kind of activity of Zelensky's terrorist regime, unfortunately, we cannot say that this is the last time that they conduct terror strike on Russian soil. They are continuing to target Russian opinion makers or Russian influencers, if I may say this way. And probably as long as Zelensky's regime is not destroyed, as long as this Nazi regime in Ukraine is not destroyed, they will continue to conduct terror attacks deep inside Russian territory. And also, I believe once Zelensky's regime will be defeated, once they will realize that they are done, I think they will turn their attention towards Western countries also, because they will start blaming West for the failure, and then they will conduct some terror attacks in Europe, in North America, anywhere and everywhere they will be able to do so. But, unfortunately, that's a reality that we have to deal. And this is all because of Western elites. We should always remember that it's Western elites, especially US elites, that did organize this armed coup in 2014 in Ukraine. And it's US, UK, and some other Western states that did give power to Ukrainian Nazis. So eventually it will be not just Russia, but it will be European states that will have to deal with Ukrainian Nazis and Ukrainian terrorists. It's just a matter of time. Let me continue now, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Prigozhin, head of PMC Wagner, did made new statements. According to him, 95% of Artyomovsk, which is Bakhmut, is under Russian control. And PMC Wagner units will continue the operations until 10th of May, but on 10th they will leave. They will transfer positions to Akhmat special forces units, and then they will leave Bakhmut. I did share partial information about this situation yesterday, and since then we do have additional confirmation that Chechen forces, Akhmat special forces, will conduct operations in Bakhmut after 10th of May. There are some reports that forward units of Akhmat special forces are already in Bakhmut and are establishing positions, preparing ground, basically, so that additional main groups of Akhmat special forces will come to town. I believe it will not take too long for Akhmat forces to establish full control over the Bakhmut. But when it comes to PMC Wagner, they did unbelievable work. They conduct successful operations not just in Bakhmut but in many other places. And once they will have some rest, I think they will operate as a rapid response forces, especially during this time when almost everyone is expecting some Ukrainian counteroffensive. Let's see. But I think society in Russia are grateful for PMC Wagner for work and sacrifice that they done and go through during their operations in Bakhmut and in all the other places that they were actively involved. Let me continue now. And by the way, when it comes to front situation on the front line, it's not really much has changed during previous 24 hours. It's artillery duels mainly in Kherson region, in Zaporozhye region. There's some close range combat in Donetsk direction, but even here it's a much calmer situation now than in previous weeks. Bakhmut is a hot point, of course, and Seversk is artillery duels between the sides. As I said quite a few times before, it seems like Russian side is now concentrated on resolving situation in Bakhmut and to repel any possible counteroffensives from Zelensky's regime in Kherson and in Zaporozhye regions. When it comes to Ukrainian counteroffensive, you know my take on this topic. I don't believe Zelensky's regime will be able to pull off truly large-scale counteroffensive, and I definitely don't believe that any Ukrainian operations in this direction of land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia will have any serious success. I think exactly the opposite will happen. Zelensky's regime has about 50 to 70, maybe 80,000 forces concentrated in Zaporozhye and Kherson region. So this is enough to conduct some local scale offensive operations. I believe they will try to establish control over as I said many times before, man, they will try to cross Dnieper River in Kherson region. They will try to attack Novaya Kakhovka and establish control over this dam here to move heavy military equipment from right bank to the left bank. They will fail. I can say straight away. They will definitely fail. They will achieve nothing. But still, simultaneously, Zelensky's regime will conduct some, in my reading of the big picture, they will probably conduct some amphibious operations in this Kakhovka water reservoir, and they will try to establish some bridgeheads on the left bank of this reservoir. Of course, they will love to establish control over the Energodar or Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, but yet again, if Russian forces will not receive order to regroup or retreat, like it happened in Kharkov region or in Kherson region, then I'm quite sure Zelensky's regime will fail. And all these units that will try to conduct amphibious operations will find their last day in this area, in that region. And same will happen on the ground here, on the line of contact. I believe Zelensky's regime will conduct offensive local scale, yet again, offensive operations from Orekhov in direction of Tokmak. They may also try to conduct offensive operations from Gulyai and also from Ugledar, but as I said, man, Russian side will decimate Ukrainian brigades that will be involved in these offensive operations, and after that, Ukrainian forces will be effectively done. They will have no more or less battle-ready reserves. This is last reserves that Zelensky's regime has. These 50 to 70, 80,000 soldiers that are now concentrated in Kherson region and Zaporozhye region. And once Russian side will stop their offensive operations, once these Ukrainian brigades will run out of steam, then Russian side will conduct offensive operations, and as I said, they will decimate these brigades, and it will be shock and awe. It will be shock and awe, and effect may have such a huge influence on Ukrainian forces that entire front line, Ukrainian defense lines, may collapse all the way on the front line, just everywhere. So let's see. I'm not military expert, but I think Russian side is ready to deal some major blow to forces that are still loyal to Zelensky's terrorist and Nazi regime. Let me continue with some other news now. And by the way, many of you did ask me if Akhmat special forces will have issues with the supplies of ammunition like PMC Wagner units did had, according to Prigozhin. And I believe situation with the Akhmat special forces will be significantly different. First of all, Akhmat special forces are part of Rosguardia, and because they are part of system, they should not have any issues with the supply whatsoever. And secondly, Ramzan Kadyrov, head of Chechen Republic, is very influential. He is a high-ranking official, first of all, and he is very influential, and I believe he will make sure that Akhmat special forces have everything they need. And when it comes to readiness of Akhmat special forces to conduct successful operations, many of you did ask me in comment sections. I believe these units are one of the best in the world. So they have a lot of experience in urban fighting, in they have a lot of experience to fight in almost all terrain and all conditions. So I have no doubts that they will achieve their goals. Let me say it this way. To be honest, sometimes at some situations, just information that it's Akhmat special forces that are attacking Ukrainian positions may be enough for Ukrainians to lay down arms and run away. They may not even try to fight. So let me continue now, and because they are scared. They truly are scared, man. And let me continue because of this high effectiveness of Akhmat special forces. So they are very effective, and I have no doubts that they will be able to achieve success and establish full control over the Bakhmut in a few days or few weeks' time. As I said, man, there is no time frame. You know, job must be done with minimal casualties. That's main goal, and there are no time frame. It will take 5 days. Okay, it's 5 days. If it will take 5 weeks, then it's 5 weeks. So I never heard from high-ranking Russian officials that there is some deadline or time frame that we have to take control over this area in 2 days, this area in 5 days. No, this is our military personnel. They don't operate in that way. So let me continue now, and this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which during the previous night, Zelensky's terrorist regime, Zelensky's Nazi regime, did launch more than 10 drones in the direction of Crimea, and we have statements from governor of Sevastopol, Mikhail Razvezhaev, who said that drones did not reach their targets. Some of them fell off the sky because of some malfunction. Some of them were destroyed by Russian electronic warfare systems, and some of them were shut down by air defense systems. So, according to Razvozhayev, no casualties on the ground and no damage whatsoever. But yet again, as you can see, Zelensky's regime is trying as best they can to somehow hit deep inside Russian territory, and I don't even understand what they want to achieve. They cannot scare Russian society. They cannot win fight with Russian forces. They cannot do nothing really. So they are like terrorists, man, truly. They are just conducting some terror strikes, and that's it, really. They should be exterminated, and they will, I guess. Like all terrorists should. So, let me continue now, and this is Kommersant newspaper's report, according to which I did translate this. Kakhovka hydroelectric power station began to discharge water to reduce the level of the Kakhovka reservoir. So let me show you this reservoir. It's this one, by the way. And this reservoir is partially in Kherson region, partially in Zaporozhye region. So water level in reservoir is quite high because Zelensky's regime was dumping water from reservoirs next to the Dnieper River. And there were some issues with the Kakhovka hydroelectric plant. But and that's it, man. That's a dam. And as I understand, all the technical issues were resolved, or maybe, if not all, partially technical issues were resolved, and this dam is able now to dump water and reduce water level in this reservoir. So let me continue, and this is once again head of IAEA, International Atomic Energy, Raphael Grossi, made statements about Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and he said that situation is quite unpredictable in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant area. And as I understand, this individual is, of course, Western assets, and he was constantly trying to push this narrative of Western elites that there should be some zone around Zaporozhye nuclear power plant which will be controlled by some, some international or maybe IAEA specialists. They were trying to, push Russian side out of Zaporozhye nuclear power plant with different legends, with different, attempts, but Russian side said no to all the initiatives of this criminal individual that Grossi is, because he's basically supporter of Zelensky's Nazi regime, and he is a terrorist in my opinion. And he should never be able to step feet on Russian soil. But yet again, it's not up to me. I will arrest him and jail him, and I believe he will talk directly on camera when and from whom he did receive orders to push this narrative that there should be some exclusion zone in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and then what? U.S. specialists should control this power plant, or what? This criminal, man. It's stupid criminal and terrorist. But anyway, I'm sharing this information to, just once again highlight that Western elites, and especially US elites, are not stopping the attempts by using international atomic energy to somehow establish themselves in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. I don't really understand why this power plant is so important for US. What they were doing there in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant? What is going on? It's an interesting question, and maybe one day we will learn. But as you can see, even after year and a half almost that this plant is under Russian control, US is not stopping to somehow influence situation there, and they are using this bitch, man, this Grossi, this CIA asset, this criminal, and he will be punished one day. I hope so. I mean, I have no respect for these kind of criminals, man. They are acting like they are someone, but they are nothing. They are zero. Just cheap assets of Western secret services. Let me continue now, and probably you do see that I have no respect for Western elites whatsoever, and I definitely don't have respect for puppets of Western elites. Like how you gonna respect those mass murderers and criminals, man? It's impossible. Let me continue now, and this is TASS News Agency's report, according to which head of Ukrainian Defense Ministry, Alexei Reznikov, in interview with New York Times, stated that they are too much hype about Ukrainian counteroffensive, and he is not really happy about it because results of this counteroffensive may not be as huge as some expect in the West. And to be honest, I said, man, Zelensky's regime will have no success whatsoever. Only way they can achieve anything if Russian side will give order to, if Moscow will give order to Russian forces to retreat or regroup. If this will not happen, then Zelensky's regime will achieve nothing absolutely. And Reznikov probably knows this, and that's why he is trying to somehow soften ground and make sure that there will be not too much criticism after this so-called counteroffensive, if this counteroffensive will take place. So yes, partially he is right. There's too much hype in the Western media about counteroffensive, and I don't really understand why, man. It's hard to believe that these journalists of main Western media outlets are so stupid and uneducated that they don't know nothing about situation in Ukraine, and they don't know nothing about military history. Because if they knew, then they will understand that with the 50 to 70 or 8,000 soldiers, it's just technically impossible for Zelensky's regime to conduct large-scale counteroffensive. It's just impossible. Local scale, some offensive movements, yes, possible, but not a large-scale counteroffensive. And they are usually using this terminology: large-scale counteroffensive, decisive counteroffensive, blah blah blah, and rest of it. And yes, Reznikov is now playing this along Western elites to somehow soften the ground, because they all know they will have no success whatsoever. Let me continue now a few more news about some economical stuff. And by the way, I hope you have a great weekend. I forgot that today's Sunday, because I have no day offs really. Time to time, I'm just like trying to do updates every day, and maybe it's a good idea to have on Saturdays, let's say on Saturdays, day off from YouTube, from media outlets, and just recharge. So let me share with you a few more informations that are relevant in Russian media. So this is artist's report, according to which IMF, International Monetary Fund, is issuing green warning about global economy. This was said by head of IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, and she is warning that geoeconomic is going into a process of fragmentation, which is true really, because Western elites did impose sanctions on so many countries, and so many of those sanctions that they are basically forcing world economy to be divided and to get fragmented. And of course, this globalist, Georgieva, and IMF is, of course, globalists' instrument, globalist tool. She is not happy, like globalists should not be happy, because, as I understand, their goal was to establish more and more control over the world. But by fragmentation of a global economy, they are losing their grip. They are losing control little by little. So that's why IMF boss is issuing warning. Well, if global economy is fragmenting, then that's because these globalists underestimate their influence really and their role. Let me continue now. This is RIA Novosti's report, according to which, and this is quite interesting, Russia first time since 2014 become one of the biggest 10, become member of this club of top 10 economies in the world, and Russia now in 8th place. Yes, with $2.3 trillion GDP, which is may be not that great number if you compare with the US and China. But still, Russia is, even with these GDP numbers, 2.3 trillion, Russia is in 8th place. So, yet again, and despite this Western pressure and Western sanctions, Russian economy truly does create some miracle, because no one expected, not just that Russia will become part of these top 10 economies again, but no one probably expect that Russian economy will withstand this pressure from Western elites. So I did share this information, I did translate it and share it on my Telegram channel. And if you are interested to see all 10 countries, then you can read on my Telegram. And let me continue. And this is also interesting because foreign debt of Russian is minimal in comparison to Russian GDP. Foreign debt level reach minimal level since the observations has begun. So right now, Russian foreign debt in comparison to GDP is 16.6%, which is just nothing really. Which is just nothing, because some countries have 300 and more than 300% of foreign debt compared to its GDP. For example, Netherlands, they have 380%. UK, 287%. Switzerland, 280%. And US also, of course, you all know what is happening with US debt. They have 150% about compared to GDP. But now in US there are some story going on that some congressmen and senators don't want rise level of foreign debt, and if they will continue this way, US may default on its debt, and US government will have no money to operate, to finance federal institutions. Of course, they will raise this level of foreign debt, and they're just playing some games there. But I believe there will be less and less countries that will to invest in US debt. So not today, not tomorrow, but in 10, 15 years, US may truly default. Or we may see some other scenario when US will deflate so much that US dollar will deflate so much that US will be able to pay back with these papers to all the other countries that they own money, but this money will worth nothing. And we are going that way also, because the dollarization is hot topic for the last how many months now. And this last news that I want to share with you in this first update is about Pakistan's decision to switch to yuan to buy Russian oil. Yet again, one more example that countries are little by little, step by step, moving away from US dollar, and in 5-10 years time, probably dollar will lose its status as a main reserve currency. This trend is unstoppable now, because Biden's administration damaged US reputation and damaged reputation of dollar itself, so much so that nothing can repel this trend now, and countries will move away from dollar no matter what. So this is it for now. For Sunday, I hope video was quite interesting, and if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos and my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And that will greatly increase my chances to reach wider audience and to continue to maintain this channel, which is if we analyze YouTube, there is only few channels about news and politics or political commentary that are from Russia and are independent, and my channel is one of these few. And if you think this channel is interesting, useful, and deserves to exist, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. This is it for now. Thank you very much for your time, your support. Have a great day, and take care.